Still the asphalt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're talking probably
Terrible.
a day.
Oh, yeah, that's what it said. It would be down for an extended time.
Yeah.
I figured at least a couple days, and because I was over the holiday.
Miss Wade,
So.
you ready to roll?
Yeah.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to call the July 8th, 2024 Town Council first work session to order at 5 o'clock. We have roll call, please, Miss Wade.
Mr. Seward.
Here.
Miss Estes. Mr. Dijak.
Present.
Miss Matthias.
Present.
Mr. Wall. Mayor Jackson.
Present.
Miss Pennell. Present.
All right, for the first item is the future vacancy of a town council position. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bowman for his insight on this.
I'm happy. I actually bought
Copies of the Virginia Code section. I thought it might be useful for you each to have. That thought about. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Very good. So it is my understanding that Mr. Stewart has announced his, he's not going to be with us as of the end of July. Is that correct?
Correct.
And certainly going to miss you, but it raises the legal question of kind of how the town council chooses to handle the vacancy that is created by your resignation. Your resignation, because you're already at the end of your term, which would expire at the end of this calendar year, there's not enough left on your term for the council to ask the court to do a special election, because that would be on the date of the general election anyhow, where your replacement's going to get elected. So what we're discussing, council has the option to appoint an interim replacement to fill your vacancy. It would be for a very short term, because the interim that could be appointed by council would only last through the end of the year. And so in the statute that you have in front of you, of course, I was talking about this with Mr. Bourne at the conclusion of the last meeting, and I thought I knew the rule called because I had answered it for you 2 years ago, that there's no necessary procedure if you choose to appoint an interim, that there's the statute does not mandate that you follow any procedure. Well, effective July 1, 7 days ago, the General Assembly has changed the rule on us. And I was lucky enough to check the statute in my preparation for your meeting today. So what I have highlighted kind of in the middle of that paragraph A is a brand new procedure that the General Assembly has mandated that if you want to do this, you must follow it. So that at least 7 days prior to making any interim appointment, the body or board shall hold a public meeting at which they announce the names of all persons being proposed for the interim appointment, make available everybody's resume and any other materials to the public. So there's not a very detailed procedure, but what it means is that if you want to do this, you need to hold either at the September meeting, because August is probably going to be too soon, or a special meeting called for this purpose, that you would need to make everybody's name that submitted to you, everybody's resume publicly available, and talk about it at that meeting. And you could layer more procedure on top of that, but you can't do any less. That's kind of a procedural minimum. Now, the statute says that any appointment may be made. That's an optional. May typically means it's something that is at your discretion, whether you want to do it or not, within 45 days of the vacancy. So the vacancy occurs at the end of July. Roughly, that would be kind of by the middle of September would be the time period within which you may make that appointment. If you do not do it, there is no statutory consequence. There's no penalty that the town suffers. The only thing that could potentially happen would be that down at the bottom of paragraph A, it says that if the seat remains vacant after that time period, that the circuit court judges may make an appointment. I have never seen that happen. So I view it as being very unlikely, for a couple of reasons. One is there's simply not a lot of time left on that term. There would be, in the middle of September, there would be 3.5 months, if I'm doing my math right, but only a few months left on the term. So a judge is not going to view it as an important issue, and judges are fairly busy people. And so it's just not going to rise to the top of their desk. And if it does, I view it as being unlikely that it's something they would want to do. So should you choose not to act, which is at your discretion, it is likely that the seat would just remain vacant. Now, why would you not act? Of course, it's up to you whether to appoint someone or not, but of course, the timing is difficult on this issue. The general election is going to occur in the beginning of November. My understanding is that you have several vacant seats and that you have more candidates than you have seats. If you appoint someone in advance of the general election, that is going to be, really, it's not even implicit, it's an explicit endorsement by the council that that candidate is more qualified than the others. And so that person would be running kind of with a seal of approval, if you will. And they would also kind of have an incumbent advantage because they would already be in office by virtue of your appointment. And so they're going to have a leg up on the others in the general election. It could be a disadvantage. That's right. It's almost certainly not going to make the other candidates who do not get, assuming you appoint someone from the candidate pool, which is public, it's not going to make the other candidates happy that you selected another to fill the vacancy. And so, although it's your prerogative what you want to do, and if you choose to move forward, you must follow at a minimum this procedure. I view there being kind of limited upside and the potential for some political attention and discussion drawn that might be something the town would rather avoid. That's certainly your prerogative. I'm happy to answer any questions on that. I just thought I would share what the procedure is and how I view the benefits and what your options are.
Thoughts?
I would lean towards leave it vacant only because even if you say, try to reach out to someone that's not on it, that maybe had experience just for interim, I mean, I don't know the purpose of what that would serve, because then if any important vote comes up in that, that's not gonna look good either, to just say, yeah, we're allowing someone that we know is only gonna be on it 3.5 months to have a say so in the process of anything. Contentious. No, I was just saying I wouldn't see the purpose of it, and I don't know too many people would want to do.
You got a caretaker that will.
Right, like say if we wanted to call Hype and say, hey, you've been on the council before, you want to do interim for a couple months. That's not a bad idea per se, but I don't think we need to do it. I lean towards just leave the date.
If we follow that rule. I think they're probably.
They can't.
But they
It's
can't.
Too late.
It's,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the difference.
yeah. Yeah, that's why this appointment I would lean towards making vacant, because they can't run. And if we pull from the pool, then we look a little fine. Oh, sorry.
I would agree about not even if we think about any business that, that may come up between now, plus we can think that we can get these that will help with that, someone else between now and.
I don't foresee that, staff hasn't really alerted me of anything upcoming in the future months that would be substantial. So Decembers are usually very quiet, the holidays, so. What the rule, they get elected. Typically, you wait for their one. Put a bench start. Is there anything?
You, would have two options. One would be that you could involve them as much as you can involve a member of the public. You know, they could attend meetings. You can even invite them into closed sessions, but they just wouldn't be a voting member until they took office January 1. So that would be an option. With some regularity, I see candidates who have been elected but not yet taken office, you know, kind of showing up to the meetings and being given information in light of their you know, upcoming office. The other would be that you could officially appoint them following the certification of the November election results before January 1. Again, a few weeks ago, I would have told you you didn't need to do anything extra in order to do that.
Yeah.
But now, at a minimum, you would need to, of course, you would need to do it at a meeting. You would need to share their resume with everyone. You would, you know, this statute, if you look at and again, there's no body of law interpreting this language that's in front of you. It's only been law for 8 days. But if you look at it, it doesn't say explicitly that you need to solicit resumes or it just says that you will hold a public meeting and that you will announce the names of all persons and share their resumes. So implicit in the language of it is the idea that you would, you know, kind of share the intent of what you're doing and ask for resumes of interested persons. Of course, if your intent is to appoint the person after November, but before January 1, so they could take office early, you're not really going to consider anyone.
Well,
Right, but I think,
but then you get to the same position.
we got 4 seats though.
But we have,
Go ahead and.
Hmm.
A resume they want.
Well, but the problem is how do you choose one of
Okay,
those
four.
4?
Don't have to do one. They've already been.
No, that's
No.
what we're saying, Bob. There's those.
Only one of
terms.
them would come on now. You would,
Yeah,
you would
choose the
appoint
top
one.
vote getter.
You could
or-
have it at a minimum, we'll have 2 new members, at possible up to 4 new members. So then it's like, well, how do you? So you might as well just let it run out until January at that point. Yeah, you're right. That would make sense if it was a special election.
Yeah,
Right,
if
yeah,
it was
right.
one,
Just
if it was
once,
a special election, that would be easy.
four.
Yeah, you got 4 positions, yeah.
You could pick the top vote getter, but again, it's just going to be more controversy. It's got such limited benefit.
I'll back up now.
But it's good to hash it out. That's a good
Yeah,
question, though. I mean, because it could work in the future if that came up. That's
Yeah.
a good way to look at it, Bob. I think.
At least now we'll know next time.
Just, yeah.
Well, I tend to agree with
If we
Melody,
can leave
Susan,
it-
and
If we
Bob,
can
but
leave it open.
yeah.
If it sounds like we can.
And we don't need to take any action as a council to leave it open. We just leave it open, right?
You do not need to take any action. You can just do nothing. Again, the only risk is that the circuit court becomes interested in exercising its power to make an appointment. I very strongly doubt, that's as firm as you're ever gonna hear an attorney say something that will occur.
Yeah.
I need
then we must. eat
Yeah,
it.
right.
Well, I'd say then we must eat it.
Yeah. 'Cause, yeah, I've
Maybe
got
they know
I've got
something
a
we don't know.
condemnation case in Massanutten water system that needs to rise to the top there, so.
Right.
Anyway, yeah.
So, if that's the consensus here at the work session, then we simply would not place it on the agenda at a regular council meeting.
Okay.
I would agree with that. I mean, I'll go ahead to possible. Less benefits.
Sounds good.
No, right, it's yours.
Yeah, well, yeah, my original proposal was to just co-opt Rob into, staying on and, not, and rescinding the resignation, but apparently that ship sails. So this is plan B.
All right, next item is discussion of the sign located at Sunset Park.
Ooh.
Pull up the picture.
That, I have that.
Ooh,
All right.
there it is.
So we had some comments at the last meeting that the sign at Sunset Park doesn't look very good. So we reached out to Right Light, which is the same company that just did our wayfinding signs, to see if they could come up with a quote and a design for a new sign at Sunset Park that would match the gateway signs. So that's what they came up with. The cost for that sign is $5,000. And it just so happens that we have $3,958 left over from the wayfinding funds. So we would need about $1,000 to close that gap. The $5,000, just so you know, that's for fabrication and delivery only. The plan is to have Public Works install a sign to save us some money.
And purple and sunset have the same number of letters, so it'd be the same back.
I'll leave that up to you guys. That's the,
Can't tell if it's a sunset or a sunrise on my eyes. Yeah, okay. That is true. It would be, yeah.
Now, remember, we can't take any action. That's right. So we'll have to bring that forward to.
So then,
I
My
don't,
que-
I'm not gonna vote, because I'm not gonna do it, but after all the budget talks we did about how temperatures are like, how's that?
well, I was gonna suggest, I think staff just found some funding in the capital that's left over. Plus, I would suggest, we've got some leftover funding on the playground equipment too, correct?
yeah.
On
So-
that project, so for capital.
Yeah,
so-
so to make up that $1,000, Brian might know better, but I think we have a couple options. There's Parks and Rec materials and supplies. We likely have enough in that line item to cover the $1,000. Or in capital funds, there's land acquisition and amenities. And I think that could reasonably be taken out of that pot as well. So we do have some options to cover the $1,000 that would need to be paid up. That's-
Good question. That's what we're gonna miss.
That's one thing I wanted to look into before we had that discussion. That we did have money from this fiscal year that could take care of those costs.
If property taxes go up, it's gonna be.
Well, there's no if property taxes
Well,
are
yeah,
gonna go
our
up.
wins, it will be World War III. You gotta keep in mind.
Yeah.
True. About one.
It's a fair point, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, before and after.
So
So-
if I'm getting this straight for the council, the action at the next meeting would be to change the name to purple.
Well, that, we
I
need.
don't know, there's
You didn't get
consensus,
that
there's
far yet?
consensus on the design, I think.
Okay, so we have consensus on the design and we found the money. Now you can discuss purple.
Yeah, I'm out of that. It's whatever we call it.
Since that park was built, it's been called Purple Park. It'll be
Called Purple Sunset.
Purple parrot. Purple sunset.
Not many people know that that's called Sunset Park.
Yeah, it's cute.
Everybody says, I'll meet you at Purple Park.
They will once they see that brand new sign that says.
Well, there's a sign now,
Lawyers.
there's a sign now that says Sunset
Yeah,
Park.
that's.
Up until I joined the council, I had never even looked at the sign, never even do it. And even people that live outside of the city that say, hey, we're going to go to that park, that they, from the park, that's why it's being about. So, I mean, totally makes sense, that's what people do.
Not my favorite, but to be honest, you're right. I mean, that's what people call it. I'm not opposed to it. I'd be fine with either.
I have two though, and definitely coming from outside,
Yeah, that's it.
coming outside of in, sorry, looking at this park, right? Technically, I like Sunset Park. I like it's down more classic, you know, that kind of thing. When I think about that. But twofold. One is sometimes we have an official name of something, but then when you're from there, you have the nickname, you know what I mean? And so, in New York City, of course, there's something like, oh, that's the one for the History Park, but I mean, that's an example. Or even if it's renamed, Malcolm X Boulevard or Ronald D. Boulevard or whatever, we still call it that example.
Cantrell.
Yeah, Cantrell.
Cantrell, yeah.
You can tell how long someone lived here by what they call it Cantrell Avenue.
When I first came to school in you, it was Cantrell. So some of that is kind of good because you have people that know it. So, but again, I'm not opposed to it. I like something up more, but be open to it.
It'd be
Kinda-
nice
I
to have
kinda
a
like-
little thing hanging down saying Purple Park. That
AKA,
would cost money.
No, I think you bring up a good point, though.
I
think there is-
Someone to donate it. I mean, seriously, it would kind of look cute to have this, where they hang it down the wood plaques.
Yeah, I mean, I think Melody bring up a good point, though. I mean, there is something kind of, I think maybe that's more fun. It's almost sort of the unspoken, kind of like a wink and a nod, like almost like cluing you in, like, oh, well, you're local, if you call Purple Park, but yes, I don't know. I kind of appreciate the Sunset Park aspect.
And it is on what, Sunset Road?
Yeah, I mean, it makes, and
Well,
it's
and that's
views
why-
out of
that's why it was
Sunset,
named
and I mean, it
Sunset.
is on the west side of town, so it is
Yeah.
appropriate there.
And I mean, it just, everybody calls it Purple Park. I agree with what you're saying. Sunset Park is, if you're looking at,
Yeah.
names and stuff like that, that sounds better than, but they couldn't come up with anything better than Purple
Well,
Park.
that's kind of it, yeah.
But the
Yeah.
flip side of that is you couldn't come up with anything better than Sunset Park
But
because it's on Sunset.
but it plays into, it's a sunset. If you look out there on the field, you're looking west. It's poetic. So maybe that's our new challenge. We could ask some of the school children to come up with a poem for Sunset Park, aka Purple Park. There you go. Oh, yeah. Make a contest.
And you're gonna.
Yeah.
Working through, they made one of them.
Aka Purple Park.
TAFFA, whatever it's called. And it's pretty Sunset Park.
I was like, I'm gonna.
I am.
The people that live on that street have to say. I would keep it Sunset.
Yeah, because the street is.
Yeah, you're going to
Yeah.
have enough to check that.
Because that street is, that's the name of the street, and that's the,
Street sign.
they consider that.
And they have a park there.
Yeah.
Basically got, he,
Okay.
Because it's right next to his house. And it's got something about it. It's Sunset.
John?
Yeah. Yeah, you know him?
I know John very well. You want me to call him? You want me to ask him what his thought
This is a Facebook Live survey.
Yeah,
Think anybody-
right. Yeah, tell me needs to get here for the public meeting at 6 and we get it.
Why don't we put out a poll, see what the majority of the town would want? You're the one that would worry about that.
Mr. John Johnson, you're on speakerphone here for all of council to hear. How are you? Hey, so we're talking about Sunset Park. And what does everybody call that park? So what do you think? There's a conversation about changing the name from Sunset Park to Purple Park. Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. We're looking at redoing a new sign. But if we're gonna do a new sign, if we are gonna, because there's been conversation over the years about changing that park from Sunset Park to Purple Park.
Yeah, I mean, everybody I know, they, and everywhere else, they'll get a purple park, they know where you're going.
Right.
I'll give you your downside to it.
We like to hear downside.
You gotta keep it purple forever.
Well, when we replaced that equipment, we said, no matter what, it's gotta be purple. So,
As long as that's the way it is, you'll be fine with it. Everybody knows where it's at.
right, no, for sure. Well, and it's been that way. Well, you've been there since it's been put in too, and from day one, everybody's called it Purple Park.
Yep.
All right, I appreciate it. Tell your bride hello.
I will.
All right, take care. Yeah, that,
He said no at first. He said no. Yeah, he said no. He said, yeah, I wouldn't do it.
right. And then he said, oh, no, as long as it's purple, it would. But, a Facebook.
Facebook poll, whatever we do. And to see what the majority of the respondents can help you there. But to see what people want. Then, right now, we're just talking. I don't, like. I don't. think it's right.
Yeah, I would think like. All
I'm
right,
still inclined, yeah. I was just thinking back more on what Melody you had said too, and I was thinking the one thing that as soon as you change it to, Purple Park, I think it's almost like, when you start trying to talk with teenagers and adopt their slang, the second the parents start saying, trying to be hip and with it, and they start using that term, they're like, okay, mom, dad, now that work's done, they move on. So I don't know. That's,
And it may be things that's been, folded that for X number of years. And then it was changed to something new. It's going on all around. And there's been some things I did, right, go out and boycott or whatever, but I was upset. One was the hockey stadium in St. Louis. It went from Checker Dome, a parade of arena, creating a race. And I like to check it. And it just went there, right? But things changed.
that's all sponsorship.
But, no, it was the Checker Dome parade of arena. And it was the same. Checker Dome, Checker Board.
Right.
Arena. It was just,
Oh, they did, I got it.
they just changed the name. They don't have anything to do with something. People that own the arena change. So, the way I look at it, things change on this. This is a, what, y'all call it this, it's just me.
We'll
I
make,
still would vote for Sunset Park. I think it's something distinctive about unofficial and official. That, and also a nickname of something, like everyone is not, my nickname is Bell, one of my nicknames. But I don't want strangers or people just call me, hey Bell, no, because you didn't earn that relationship. You're not that comfortable. So, outside of the same Purple Park, they know it because they have that relationship with it, right? That whether the stuff is purple or not. Sunset Park, if you think about design or outside or development, I think that's still more official, aesthetically sounding, well, that's something that Purple Park, it to me takes it down a notch, like, oh, it's Purple Park, right? But again, I don't have the emotional connection to it, but I still, if I did, I still would want it like, you pull it down, we pull this, you know what I mean? There's something about that. Again, if the majority goes a couple park, I'm down with it.
So. Yeah, but I can see the big one. So they put it on.
Yeah.
Talk about it. But. This here is not. It's more of a. For story. But the first thing I can think of is somebody gets to do it, or somebody could do it, or whatever. Why do you call this purple? Let me tell you, it's. See that playground equipment over there? From the very start, it's all. And we just continue to buy purple. Because that's what the kids.
What if one day the council comes in, they don't want no purple, because they want things to be green and blue like our signs.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But, I mean, okay, here again, why do you call it purple? Well, the smart council people.
Well, you're,
We have
you've
another
elevated
contract.
us a little bit here.
That's what she's, we have to sign it. None of the town council
Yeah.
president will come in, get out changes first. No, I mean, again.
Jordan, can we legally obligate the future council to only buy purple? No.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
I I like the Sunset Park because it's just historic to it. I still like the idea of later, once it's up, to consider down the road. That was a good idea, having a local high school.
Purple Park.
Just
gotta be there.
And
Okay,
because you see a lot of things like that, where they'll have the main sign,
Right.
main name, but they have something that's the nickname or whatever hanging. And I think that's a way to get the kids involved, I mean, get the community involved too. I mean, it's kind of a win-win.
When the sunset goes down, you got the
Thank
purple.
When all the visitors come.
This is why you have the purple folder today.
Yeah. I think, yeah, right, yeah. Just,
You got here just in time for us to wrap up.
yeah. Raucous debate, yeah.
So I guess
Question for you.
in the end, it's what, just gonna go on the agenda and then we'll vote.
We'll have to
You
vote
wanna
for
vote
this,
on
we
it
have to
or
vote on the
just for the
sign,
sign?
right?
Let's do the poll.
I think
Do we-
if I'm reading everyone right, we do poll. And then we bring those results back and then the decision on the name will be made. But as far as the sign, we'll move forward, I guess,
With the design.
with the design that. The only thing that may change is the word.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's a question though, are we committed to a poll? And if so, are we going with the,
Yeah, 'cause
Whatever-
if Purple Park wins on the poll and.
right,
Well,
that's what I'm saying, is that,
When it goes back Purple Park. you
right,
gotta
but
change
then you
Purple
also,
Park.
I mean, and then how many responses are we saying are enough to justify?
And how do you limit a poll to town residents?
Right,
Yeah,
Functionally.
really.
Make sure
Be-
they vote twice and all that stuff.
right,
Facebook colors.
You could
Well,
try.
Now,
well, it's like-
I'll just throw it out there. Another option is to add quotes at the bottom.
yeah.
Well, that's what we said.
I think that's the way to
The
go.
purple,
Yeah.
purple part.
Yeah, AKA.
And that way you have both. It
Does
may
that
add a
increase
little
the cost
cost,
or anything?
but then
Probably a
again,
little
you know, it has.
It'd be insignificant.
Yeah, that's exactly.
It is.
It is.
It is the very unpopular. I've never seen purple here. That's why they sell it. Oh, yeah.
Are we?
It is fine for a purple.
Yeah,
I've got an eight for
I don't think you can shrink things back.
yeah. I,
Probably fewer
is-
than me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think,
My final input is I would not go for a poll. I would not,
yeah,
Yeah,
if you
favor
go
of
with
a
a
poll.
poll, you're kind of stuck with like.
I would not be in
Yeah.
favor of a poll. I would be in favor of somehow incorporating in parentheses or something possibly that's, or that
I like
sign
the sign
hanging,
at the
because
bottom.
that,
Yeah.
because that can be removed if whatever down the road they had to not be purple. that can actually be.
I like to give it, have fun signs, reading from the bottom.
There you go.
Kids, but I mean, they got that.
Yeah, AKA for.
It's got drilled 2 holes.
From the bottom, I hope, yeah.
Oh, there you
bottom.
go.
That way the wind can go
Yep.
around and it doesn't affect the gate.
Yeah.
That,
I
I didn't
Yeah, from the
consider that. It
But
is
I
the
really-
same style,
but I
but
love
could
that
it be more of a
design.
purple?
I love that design.
No, it needs to match.
It's got,
But
yeah,
if you want it
It's got-
to
yeah.
match them.
Spent too much money to have to.
It's always.
All right, sounds like the consensus is to leave it at Sunset Park and put a tag at the bottom, but yeah, perfect part.
Yeah. We'll just make sure with the sign company that they leave whatever hardware.
Are we doing poll?
No.
No,
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. as everybody.
yeah, there you go.
So no poll,
no pull.
Except for Rob, I mean, Bob.
Yeah,
then we'll make sure that
Now you know what
the sign is made so that we can add the hooks at the bottom and hang another sign that says the purple part.
All right, I think that concludes our work session.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything else before we adjourn this? All right, work session adjourned at 5:37.
All right. Time to mingle with the public.
They're gonna be.
Good evening, it's my pleasure to call the July 8th Dayton Town Council meeting to order at 6 o'clock. We have a sign-up sheet over at the door for those that would like to speak at our opportunity this evening. That we will not be taking any online comments. Could I have a roll call, please, Ms. Wade?
Mr. Walls.
Here.
Mayor Jackson,
Present?
Mr. Dijak,
Present.
Ms. Matthias,
Present.
Ms. Pennell,
Present.
Ms. Estes, Mr. Seward.
Thank you, Ms. Wade. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to meet this evening to discuss the town business. We thank you for the gifts of the weather that we have been receiving. It would be nice to have some rain. We ask that you watch over our first responders and men and women of the military across this country and abroad. We ask that you watch over and protect those that are living in despair and in war-torn countries. We pray in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 10th as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Dijak. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We have no action items this evening. Let's see if we have any signed up for speaking. We have no public comments. We'll move on to staff reports for Mr. Bourne.
Right, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'm done. That was quick. Well, I do have a few things. I'll try to be brief. We did have the auditors here on the 4th of June doing their preliminary audit, so they're preparing for that. They'll be back, I think, in September. And we did have our consultants for the master plan here, June 11th through 13th. I know some of you were at that workshop. They were also visiting businesses and holding focus groups and meeting with different people. So I think from what I've heard, it was well received and they did a good job. Also, I did send all of you the link to a presentation from the Municipal League about the post-session, the webinar, the changes, new bills and everything. Take a look at that. One of them was the election, the vacancy one was included in there. The Nothing Fancy concert, we had about 300 or so people there. It was very well attended and they were setting up very early, right, Chris?
Yes, they were.
Reserving their spots. Also, we had a couple of grand openings. CC Flooring was very well attended, and then Virginia Quilt Museum on the 29th was a very impressive event. Lots of people, and I was surprised at the quilts. It's not your grandmother's quilts today. Some of them could be, but these were quite the art. Also, good news for the budget. Rockingham County purchased 3.6 million gallons of water in
Hey.
so that should help out a bit. Also, upcoming events, we've got Small Town Americana that's in downtown Dayton on the 13th. That's this Saturday. Rewind, the summer concert, July 20th. That's a Saturday, next Saturday, not this Saturday, but next. Dayton Market Christmas in July is also on the 20th. And then Delegate Runyon's office, he will be having a town meeting here in Dayton on July 22nd. He will be sending something out to get the word out. And I did caution his staff that we cannot have anything related to any kind of election or anything. And I was told that that was not the case. So we took care of that. Silver Lake Nature Trail is on the City of Harrisonburg agenda for tomorrow night. I plan on attending that meeting. I think there are others. I think Cheryl and Taylor Evans, I think, is going to be there also. So hopefully, from all indication I've gotten, that will go smoothly. I don't see any hiccups there. The Rockingham County comp plan, please take a look. I sent you a email that I received from Kim Sandrum. It seems to be a good plan. It does address a lot of things, and I know I'm coming late into that game. That's been going on since 22. But it does address a lot of things that we are concerned or dealing with here in Dayton. Please let your county supervisors, board of supervisors know if you have any concerns or support on that. That is going to be on their agenda for the public hearing on the 10th, this Wednesday at 6 p.m. It's a 240-page comp plan. So, and there's also another piece that goes with that, the UDA out in the area out by 33 and I forget the other name of the street, but there's been a little change in that part. It will affect Kieseltown. They've expanded that area more than they had said at first. And then that's all I have, other than I'll just let you know right now, there's going to be an August 12th work session. We'll be bringing forward I know some have been involved in the conversation, but we feel that it's important to involve all of council for food truck special events and the temporary use. This would allow us to bring the temporary use to the Planning Commission in September for their public hearing and then back to council in October. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Chief Trout for police report.
What did you ever remember? We did see the brand, burned, brand, we did.
Thanks, sir.
I was gonna say, Chief, you also have something ongoing right now, correct? For the public survey?
Yes, yes, so, when 10 people of the, close to that count. Well, I think, hash idea during, the, National Night Out. There you go. I had people, they created a QR code this year, so it's, you know, a few questions, it's not good. But if they do that while they're there, they put their name into a jar and draw it out for, you know, I know, big parts of the kitchen. So, there's a chance that if the survey with the name in there, and the survey doesn't ask for your name, it's just, you know, you have 100 names they're gonna draw from. You don't have to fill out surveys, it's still anonymous, but it's some, for everybody on that. If we do it for the listening online, it helps us determine how we can move forward. It is vital to get everything. Yeah, like 2 people taking that are funny guys. Fun stuff. You know, I just really-
So 80% of the people who've taken it are serious. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so I'll look at it positively.
So
It's,
far,
Right.
8 positive, but again. I like to at least get it 25%. Thank you. Like 100%. Yeah, I guess we're getting.
Very good. Good ideas, though. Yeah, good to get that out and get the pulse of the community. Thanks for that, Chief.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Bowman, thanks for your assistance earlier in the work session. Anything for us this evening?
My pleasure. Number of projects I'm working on with Mr. Bourne, but nothing in particular to report. They're going smoothly.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Dijak, Economic Community
yes.
Development and Finance.
I will just echo Mr. Bourne's sentiments on all the wonderful like, activities going in town, and I'll just say happy fiscal new year.
Mr. Seward, Infrastructure, please. Thanks, sir. Mr. Walls for Parks and Recreation. And Ms. Matthias for Personnel. I know you've been busy.
Yeah, we didn't meet, but we're finalizing, some feedback for the town manager position. 6-month review. But we didn't officially meet, it's just that it's been put out, so nothing to share. That's all personnel issues.
Thank you. Well, Brian took all of my comments that I had written down for, but the ribbon cuttings were great. It's always nice to have new businesses coming to town, and both CNC, I mean, they had a great turnout for theirs. And when I got there at 10 o'clock, there was already a lot of people there, and I mean, it was just a steady flow of people. And of course, the Quilt Museum, you know, that, and a lot of people don't realize is the Quilt Museum, they have rotating things, so it's not the same stuff. I mean, there's constantly new exhibits that are coming in and rotating in and out, so you can go and it's not the same stuff that you see every time. But Brian, you're right, it is not what when you think of, well, at least for me, it's not what I thought when I went to the Quilt Museum. So
Quite
that was very-
impressed.
and any unfinished business? Well, I was gonna get to that.
Okay.
All right, so I have something to say. You're not
I
gonna.
was gonna say, I was saving my
I
comments.
thought maybe you would.
Yeah.
You know, we had Rob Stewart has turned in his resignation for council. So this will be his last meeting. His term was due to expire this year. And, you know, Rob was very fortunate to be on our infrastructure committee when we were going through the water treatment plant. So he earned all of his high dollar pay that the council members get during that time. But his leadership and experience during that time was certainly very, very advantageous. So thank you for the time that you spent and the things that you've done both in council and outside of council for the town of Dayton.
It has been a pleasure. It's been fun, very eye-opening. And would encourage any resident, they need to take a turn of being up here and seeing really what the town. So, but it has been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it thoroughly and on to another challenge.
We certainly appreciate everything you've done and, you know, it's always a shame when you can't finish out your term, but since you're leaving the town here momentarily.
Yeah.
So he has to be out of his house by the end of the month, so. But again, thanks for everything you've done, both inside these chambers and out.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.
I'll echo those comments, Mayor, but Rob, it's been a pleasure, and I know we came on council about the same time, and you were a friend, and we've gone through a good bit here together, so. I was hoping we'd go out together, but there you go, but yeah, and dare I say, you have with your career and your background, you've illuminated us and shown some light on. And there you go, and we have appreciated that, so, thank you for that, sir. Thank you for keeping us grounded, and yes, the infrastructure background and Parks and Rec have been outstanding, so.
And I will say, unfortunately, you're not gonna be rid of me because I am taking new responsibilities. I'm probably gonna annoy the fire out of Dustin. So.
There's a little fun there too, yeah.
All right, any new business this evening? All right, this time we need to go into closed session for a virtual audience. This will be the conclusion of tonight's live stream. Entertain a motion to convene into closed session as by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1 to discuss the performance and employment of specific local government personnel. The subject matter of the closed session is to discuss the 6-month evaluation and performance of the town manager.
So, oh, second. I'll give him courtesy.
Rob got it.
I'll go second.
And Bradford second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. We are going to move back into closed session. The public business matter lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened, were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the council. Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Seward,
Hi.
Mr. Walls, Ms. Estes, Ms. Matthias,
Aye.
Ms. Pennell,
Aye.
Mr. Dijak,
Aye.
Mayor Jackson.
Aye. I need a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
So.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned.
I got one.
You got one. Rob, thank you.
Oh, I gave Christine the handbook, all the financial